Just because this is how I used to do it doesn't mean this is how I have to still do it. Just because I used to behave in this way doesn't mean I have to continue behaving in this way. Like, you get to choose, and if you need a permission slip, like, here it is. Are people gonna judge you? Yes. Are people gonna treat you differently? Yes. Are people gonna say you've changed? Yes. It's because I have. If you're not changing, you're not growing. So it's okay, and you get to choose. You get to decide.
And we are back with another episode of Dieting from the Inside Out. If you're new around here, welcome to the show. My name is Jared Hamilton, and I'm super stoked that you're here. I apologize if my voice is a little bit not normal. It is allergy season here in Indiana, and it is in full swing, to say the least. So we're rocking the deeper voice, we're rocking the puffy eyes, the whole 9 yards. But anyway, we're doing this thing. In today's episode, you are going to have a really, really special treat. I am bringing on my friend and best-selling author, Toni. Here's what's funny is I was actually on Toni's podcast, Tips with Toni, like last week before when we recorded it. And I knew I had to bring her on here to introduce her to you guys and her content and her book and all that stuff. And I know you're going to love it. I know you're going to get a lot out of it. So Toni is the author of the is a best-selling author of a book called Once Upon a Diet. And it is, it's really cool. We talk about it a lot in the episode. I won't give away all the nuggets here, but at the end of the day, this whole episode is about being able to step away and get out of the trap of diet culture, being constantly and perpetually in that state of it's never good enough. I've always got to be losing more weight. But if that's all you've ever known, the hard part is getting out of that. You see what I mean? So that's what we're going to get into today is all the nuts and bolts around that, how to get out of it, how to change your entire relationship with diet and exercise, how to change your relationship with food and yourself. And at the end of the day, basically get away from this, almost like kind of the way Toni talks about it, like with people have this toxic relationship with people, right? Like the narcissistic ex-boyfriend, or always going back to the old partner and all that kind of stuff, and how a lot of times people have that relationship with their diets and things like that. So it was a really great episode. I know you're going to get a lot out of it. So be sure and stick around for all of it. We're getting ready to go into it right now. But before we do, big thank you to the sponsors of the show. Huge sponsor to Flex Pro Meals, or huge thank you to our first sponsor, Flex Pro Meals. Sorry, words are hard apparently today. You guys know at the end of the day, I talk about it a lot. If you're struggling right now with keeping your food in check, keeping your meals in check, in this whole nutrition game being convenient for you, you may consider looking at something like Flex Pro Meals, or something that makes this side just easier and less friction. And it just has a lot of less friction for you. Because at the end of the day, if you're like me, or and like a lot of the clients that we work with, your schedule's all over the place. You're running around. Your schedule changes on a moment's notice. Things are all over the place. You find yourself in drive-thrus or stopping to the gas station a lot, which means you're going to end up eating way more calories with being extremely less satisfied and feel like shit. And then all of a sudden you'll feel like I'm doing everything right, but I'm not losing weight because of that kind of stuff. The thing is, Flex Pro Meals fixes this problem really, really well, because they ship meals straight to your house. It's just the same price, or even a little bit cheaper than what you would pay going through a drive-through. Every time I've popped through the Chipotle, I'm like, how is this $16 a person? So it's super helpful. And then everything's dialed in. You know what the exact macros are. You know what the exact calories are. They taste really, really good, better than what you're going to get at a drive-through or making yourself. But at the end of the day, if what you're doing isn't convenient, you may need to look at something that is more convenient and more doable in your crazy life, or at least to have on deck. So that's the way I view it. If you want to look into that, see what they got going on, either hit the link below or go to flexpromeals.com. And I like to save people some money when I can. So use my code HamiltonTrained and it will save you 20%, which is pretty dope. Next, huge sponsor, I cannot talk today. Huge thank you to the second sponsor of the show, First Form. I've got on one of their hoodies again. This is one of my favorite hoodies, ironically. Just kind of along the lines of the Flex Pro conversation, guys, when it comes to these areas, if you are not getting what you need with what you're doing, you need to supplement it to get what you need. At the end of the day, do we all need supplements? Probably not, because of food and things like that. But if you're not getting what you need from food, if you're not getting enough protein in, if your inflammation's high because you're not taking in enough omegas, if you are not eating all like 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, you probably could benefit from a multivitamin or a greens powder or something like that. Because at the end of the day, yes, food is what matters most, and supplements are just that, to supplement. But if you are not getting what you need and it is impeding your results, impeding your energy, how you feel, all those things, then we have to fix that. Otherwise, you're going to take longer to get to where you want to be. And in the world of supplements, it's really unregulated. There's a million things out there. And the last thing I want you to do is just hop online, go to Amazon, find what's cheapest and tastes the least shitty and hope for the best, because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get what you need. It's not the best quality. The label's not going to be accurate, maybe not even safe. There's a lot of bullshit. So that's the thing I love about First Form is I know they're tested, I know they're tried, I know they're true, and I know they've stood the test of time, and you know everything about them. They're fully transparent. Everything's third-party tested. Have their actual brick and mortar. That's ungodly huge. I'm actually going to be going out there here in like a month, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's what I want to do. That's why I locked arms with them, because I want to make sure that you are getting the best products possible, and that your money, when you're going to spend it on stuff like this, is going to things that's actually going to help you. That's what I want. So be sure to use the link below if you want to go look and see what they've got going on, or if you want to go and upgrade any of your stuff. And that's my link below. So when you use that, it does support me, and I really, really appreciate it. I don't take it lightly. But yeah, that's it for the sponsor section of the show. Let's get into the actual interview with Toni. I will talk to you in just a second. Cool. Well, I appreciate you hopping on doing this. Now, in case my audience doesn't know who you are, give a little bit of your story and whatnot, because I know what I want to get into and talk a little about. And you don't even know what I want to talk about, which is the magic, because I think that's the cool part of podcasting.
Yeah.
But tell a little bit about your story and what like your stuff is.
Yeah. Well, there's so many parts, like all stories, right? But I feel like many of our stories start in childhood, and that's definitely where mine began. I grew up overweight, very insecure about my weight. I was teased about my weight, both at school and at home, and I was made to feel less than pretty early on. And so the obvious solution for my brain was, lose weight, and then you'll be worthy of love and acceptance, and all your problems will go away. So I had this big pursuit of weight loss. It's sad to say, but as early as the age of 9 is where I really started to think of like, if I don't eat that, I'll get praised for it. And if I exercise, and I was doing, I talk about it in my book, Once Upon a Diet. I was dancing.
That's what we're going to get into after this.
I'm excited. So Barbie's dance workout, you should YouTube it. It's really worth it. And I used to do it for fun. And then I remember I would spend my summers in Florida with my grandparents, and my grandmother, she would be the one who would like puff her cheeks out at the table if I would like reach for too much food. So I kind of was like, well, this is, you know what? Like that was the moment where my Barbie's dance workouts that were all fun became like I did them on repeat, because I was like, well, I just gotta make room for food and all that stuff. And so I was always very active, because even though I was always in a bigger body, I played basketball, volleyball, I did shot put and discus as I got older. And I was pretty athletic, just overweight. And so then my workouts became like I would come home from basketball tryouts and like exercise more. And then it became like I would tell my mom I only wanted to eat vegetables for dinner. I would only eat like an orange the whole day at school. But then I was noticing like my energy levels were really low and I couldn't focus. Basically, long story short, I thought that, you hear, eat as little as possible, exercise as much as possible, and that's how you're going to lose weight. Like I thought that was going to be the answer, but I learned that restriction wasn't the answer. It was actually part of the problem, because I was binging every weekend. I was, struggling with being consistent. And I was also focused on a lot of the wrong things. Like I was just waiting for the scale to move, and I was consistently disappointed. And so that went on for a really long time. Actually, even when I decided I wanted to go to school to become a registered dietitian, the more I learned about nutrition in college, unfortunately, just the more obsessed I became. So I traded the, calories in, calories out, extreme mentality to, a nutrition obsession, like basically mentality, where it was like, I only allowed to eat what I considered quote unquote healthy. There was no balance whatsoever. And it was just a vicious cycle. So really long story. The short of it is eventually I actually stopped looking at how food made me look and instead started focusing on how food made me feel. And that's when I found balance in my eating habits. And that's what we teach women to do today. So it's, I've definitely grown and expanded and changed throughout the years, but our main mission is just to help people find a true balance and really define what health actually means to them, both incorporating your mental and physical health and well-being, and just living a life that they enjoy, which means including foods that they enjoy in a balanced way.
I love all that. That's so big. I love the part, especially my last guest on this past week's episode was talking about it where, and I think most people need to make the switch leaning towards intrinsic, not just extrinsic goals, right? It's easy to just be like, I want to lose the weight. I want to fit in the clothes, whatever. And that's, and like, I think you and I are in the same camp where like, it's not all bad, but we can't just make it only about 30 pounds and nothing else. Or if it's like, well, depending on what the scale says, depends if I go and show up for myself today or not. So I think like when you, especially where you're like think about how food makes me feel and that side of the stuff, switching or at least adding in intrinsic sides of things is massively important.
Yeah, I really do believe that that has to be your main focus because otherwise you're setting yourself up for disappointment. It's okay to have a weight loss goal or a fat loss goal or an aesthetic goal. It's okay to have those goals. I do believe in body autonomy. Like it's your body and you only get one and you get to choose how you want to live it and what you want to do with it. However, we also need to think about like if we didn't grow up in a world and in society that was constantly telling us to change ourselves and we weren't consistently marketed at that we're not enough, like would we want to be pursuing this external goal so aggressively and so like almost like nothing else matters, right? And I think if we are really honest with ourselves and we really start to change the narrative and we understand where this whole idea came from, we can then start to see that actually that isn't the most important thing. And ironically, when I focus on the internal stuff, like, and the healthy things like energy, normal bowel movements, getting good sleep, right? Like the things that we know are actually good for us, those ironically then tend to lead to when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we actually are like, I'm kind of proud of myself. Like, oh, wow, I actually look pretty good today. Like, you're not going to have positive body image all the time, like whatever, but you probably, the more you work on yourself, the more you are committed to kind of those healthy habits versus like those very extreme sort of behaviors and goals, you actually start to gain a little bit of self-confidence and your body image usually improves as a result.
Yeah. I mean, I think people forget also that intrinsic leads to extrinsic. Or, it's not always the other way around. Because I'm curious if you ever find this with your guys' clients. I find it with ours. Because a lot of times people will come into our realm from like trying to lose 30 pounds, wants to do it. They've always done the crazy trendy stuff, the normal diet culture bullshit. Well, we stop all of that in our stuff and getting people to do inner work and all the stuff that we're talking about right now. And a really big amount of our people will come in and they'll start doing the inner work and all that stuff. Cause that's like the gateway. It's all right, Jared won't let me lose weight until I do this the right way or whatever. But then by the time they get to the end of it, like, yeah, they've made progress, but then they're like, I guess I don't need to weigh as little as I thought. Or you know what? I actually am happy with these areas. It's not like that they're settling by any means. I don't want anyone listening to take that out of context, but the thought of like, oh, I guess I don't need to be a size 2 anymore, or I don't need to weigh what I weighed in high school. Do you find that happens with your people a lot?
Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah.
Literally, like most of the time. Because it's really true. And it's not like, we're not like tricking you on purpose. We've just, it's kind of like, we've been there. Like we've been there, we've done that, and we've helped thousands of people do it too. So it's kind of just like, but at the same time, I don't believe in robbing people of their process. So actually one of the things I do talk about in my book, in like Once Upon a Diet, is basically how everything has value. And nothing is a waste of your time, at least as long as it taught you something, right? If it teaches you something, it wasn't a waste of time. And I mean that by like, sometimes like we have to go through it. So I use the analogy of like a bad date, right? So you might, if you're single and, there's this guy that you've been, or girl, whoever you're, into who have your eye on, and you're like super excited, but then your friend knows this person and is like, hello, like this person is bad news. Like this person is not going to be your forever person. Like they're a hit it and quit it type person. And I know you want something long-term. Like, please just, for the love of God, like don't even waste your time. Don't go on the date. Like you're going to be disappointed. Right. And now you can do that. You can take that person's advice and their word for it, or you can try it yourself and you're probably 9 times out of 10 going to get to that same resolution on your own. I don't care if you decide to go on that route and then get there, or if you decide to listen to the friend and then figure it out, right? That's the same thing with dieting. I'm going to tell you right now, Optavia, keto, anything extreme, 75 hard, whatever, all those things that it's like, it's the extremes, they're not going to work in the long run. But if you need to go through that to learn something, to gain something, to just like see it yourself, have at it. Go for it. Right? I can't tell people how to feel. But what we can do is we can guide them, and we could often too, because if you tell someone they can't do something or they shouldn't do something, it's like a kid, it lights up. It's like, oh, now I have to do it, right? So I usually go with like kind of like a more, okay, let's think it through, right? We can do this, we can do that. We likely will end up with this outcome if we go with A, and this outcome if we go with B. Which outcome sounds more exciting to you? And then they usually come to those realizations on their own, sometimes by just talking it out, but then other times I'll let them experiment. We create that container because I think it's important for them, because otherwise they're kind of going to always have this like, this in the back of their head, like, maybe that actually would work. Maybe I really should try it, right? Like, and then they're not going to trust your process, Jared, or my process. And then they're going to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then they're not going to make us look pretty good because they're not going to do the process. They're not going to trust the process completely. They're not going to go all into it. So often I usually allow them to kind of explore and experiment. And it's through that process that they actually come to that realization of like, you know what? Maybe Jared had something to say. Like, maybe he was right. Like, maybe Toni knows what she's talking about. Okay, I'm done. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's funny. See, usually, at least with our people, by then they're like, that's when they're signing up for coaching versus like, hey, I'm starting your coaching and I want to do keto. And I'm like, bro, no. Like,
yeah, no, definitely not that. I'm very clear with them up front that like those extremes are not going to be our process. But like you mentioned, and I know that you experience this too, like, I'll literally so we have our coaches that do the one-on-one coaching, and then I oversee everything. And then I'll do like a midway call with them, or I'll just like check in on them. And then I kind of just see how they're doing. And they'll like 9 times out of 10, they'll usually say something to me like, when you told me on our like discovery call that, I wasn't going to care so much about the scale, and that's not really what we focus on. And we're really more so focusing on habits and behaviors. And like, I like, kind of like, I wanted to believe you, but I didn't really believe you. And I kind of just agreed so I could just get started because I really wanted to change.
Sure.
But like, they're like, then they usually are like, well, now I really see it. Now I really feel it. And it's like, fair, fine, cool. Yep. Glad you trusted me. Glad you went in. And that's just how it has to happen sometimes.
It's interesting. Some people's journey to get to that point is so different than others. Like some people, I don't get, like, I think it's crazy. Some people, like, especially getting into the ecosystem, some people will be signing up for coaching within 2 weeks of like finding me on Instagram. But there's some people, they're like, no, I have to listen to your shit for 8 months. Then like, cool, you do you, boo. But I'm here regardless, but that's also 8 more months we could have been making progress,
Oh, so. 1,000%. I have people who I've met in person and have been following my things for literal years, like literally years. And sometimes it's just, we say in our head, timing and finances, and we have all of the reasons, but maybe they just weren't ready. And honestly, I actually used to, like, when I first started, coaching, I used to always say like timing, and there's never a bad time, because it always is going to teach you something, right? But like, sometimes there really is, like, I don't want someone who's half-assed. Like, I don't want someone who's like still considering the other things like a little bit more heavily. I want to get to the person, and it sucks because sometimes they do have to go through that before they get to us. But I do want that person that's like literally fed up, done. Like, they know it doesn't work. They don't need to be convinced it doesn't work. Like, they believe, they've seen your clients go through things. They've seen, your personal transformation. Like, they've seen you show up consistently, and they believe in you. That's the type of person that's actually going to get the results that they're looking for.
Yeah. I call the other ones half pregnant, where it's like, obviously that doesn't work, but but you're either pregnant or you're not. But especially inside coaching and people who are coachable or not, when the people that are like, well, they're like you said, halfway considering like, oh, maybe I should shortcut it. Whatever bullshit, they never work out as well versus the people that are like, if I don't do this, then I'm literally going to die. I just need to go as much full force in the most sustainable way possible as I can. We had a lady I was just interviewing who went through our program, and she literally said, I didn't know this until like after she graduated, but she said, you were my last shot. I was literally giving up, and it was like, I've tried everything, nothing's worked, and you are my last hope. And I was just hoping this was the one. And and it worked. So like, which, you know, it's, but some,
And we usually are the last resort.
Yeah.
You know, I wish it wasn't the case because people could really like get to that place of food freedom and the vitality and enjoying life, all of those things that they get after working with us. Like they could get that way sooner, but you know, it is what it is.
I had we had one of our clients. We'll do like interviews either on the podcast or in my Facebook group with clients and stuff, just to make it more relatable for other people. Cause you know, I don't have ovaries and things like that. So apparently that matters. But she said, this was a lady who Trini dieted for years. And she said, it pisses me off that how simple it is now that I get it. It was like 20 years of diet culture. And then 2 months into coaching, she's crushing it, not binging anymore, losing weight and all this stuff. And she goes, it literally pisses me off how easy this is now that I get it. Like it literally makes me sad how many decades of my life I wasted, but it's just, sometimes it has to go like that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your book because I love the idea of it and I love the concept behind it. And I know talking about your book is going to get some really cool conversations going. So talk to us about your book.
Yeah. So my book, before it was a book, it was actually a TED Talk. So I did a TED Talk in February 2019. And I had applied to many TED Talks before and I wasn't getting, you know, any like yeses or whatever. And I think because I was just wanting to talk about like healthy habits, like there was nothing like exciting about it. And then I was kind of like separately just frustrated because I was very similar to what we were just talking about. You know, a lot of the women before they would come and work with us, they would jump from diet to diet, hoping each one was like, quote unquote, the one. And I would get very frustrated because I was like, can't they see like, it's basically the same diet, just in another book. Like, this is not going to work for them. Like, why did it take so long for them to get to this place of realization? And I was like sitting there frustrated. And then I was like, hold on a minute. So number one, speaking to myself, I'm like, Toni, first of all, it took you a long time to get it. So like, give them grace. And you have a degree in nutrition and a master's in nutrition. And you've been a registered dietitian at that point, I think, for 5 years. And like, it just took you a little bit. Like, it took time, right? So first of all, that. Second, I was like, what? And also like you just got out of another serious relationship. This is your third serious relationship where you basically dated the same guy with a different name and a different face, 3 different times. And I was like, wait a minute, like I actually still haven't learned my lesson when it comes to dating and relationships because all I thought was important was being in a relationship. Like many women think all that matters is the number on the scale and that losing the weight. So they don't really reflect on, does it actually work? Like what's the quality of the diet, the quality of the lifestyle? And that's what I was doing. Like didn't matter the quality of the relationship. Like my whole life, I was told that if I didn't lose the weight, I would never get a boyfriend. So here I was with a boyfriend, check done. Oh my God, how exciting is that? But then like these men would treat me like crap. They weren't, I was taking care of them like they were my children. Like there was just so much about it that just was like so inappropriate. And so I started to realize the parallels. And so when I realized like, okay, there's something here, I can do my TED Talk on this. I got a yes and I got accepted. I was preparing for the talk. I was told I only had 8 minutes to speak. And it was in that when I was thinking about it, I'm like, there's so much more here than just like, they're trying to be like Cinderella's stepsisters and like trying to jam their feet into something that doesn't work. Like that's the surface. Like if I go on, I could write a book about this. I could write a book. So anyways, that's where the book was born. And I wrote, it's actually like, I'm really proud of it. It's connected with so many people. It is, obviously I talk a little bit more about my story. I talk about client journeys, but then I give really practical tips and advice. And throughout that, it's helping you to kind of see it in a different light, see it in a different way. So whether you're single or in a relationship, dating, whatever it is, it's really important because basically I help you go through kind of the 3 different stages. Like before, if you're, while you're dating or before you're in a relationship, kind of things to look out for, like, will it last past the honeymoon phase, stuff like that. Then, like, if you're currently in one, like, reflecting, like, do I even like this still? Like, it's okay. You can change. Your partner can change. The relationship can change. That doesn't necessarily mean that you stop, you break up with that person or you end that relationship, just like it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, maybe foundationally the nutrition things that you're following or the exercise you're following, they once worked, but now they're really not working anymore. That doesn't necessarily mean you give up, but it might mean you need to like redirect. However, it also might be like it has its endpoint and it's, it gave you what it did. It's not serving you anymore. And like, it's okay to say goodbye to it. Right. And then like the last part I have people reflect on within the book is like, what lessons did I learn from this? Like the after the fact, because we need to be, if we really want to change something, right? If we really want a different outcome, we need to be honest with ourselves, and we need to take a look at, like for me, I had to look at my partners. I had to look at me, who I was with those partners. I had to look at like, even with nutrition stuff, like maybe certain recipes I tried were great, but I don't need to follow that whole meal plan, right? Like there's certain things like simply, and then like really, in depth sort of examples of how we can just do life better, and we can live a healthy lifestyle, and we can be in a healthy relationship or not, healthy and single, whatever we want, happy and single. What at the end of the day, like you get to choose. But I think it's really important to use like the questions that I have you ask yourself in the book, the examples in the book. There's just so many things that you can do to break that cycle. I like to call it the stepsister cycle, right? Like the Cinderella stepsister, they try to jam their feet into that shoe that clearly doesn't fit. Like we need to break that. And that's like the diet cycle. You can break it, and it is possible, but you need to be able to be introspective and honest with yourself and real and raw. And you're going to have to do something different if you want a different result. And that's kind of the summary of the book.
I love that so much. It's so good. Yeah, we should definitely, we'll put the link to that book in the description and stuff, which will be cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting. I didn't, not as in depth as you just went, but a common analogy, like I pride myself on being the king of analogies. And a common one I give is with diet stuff is relationships, like the toxic boyfriend bullshit, like all the time. But I think it's interesting that you talked on like seasons of accepting, letting go. And I think that's so powerful, because like even just client wise, we'll see, like if I had $1 for every time I've heard, oh, I just wish I was the way when I thought I was fat. Or they're holding on to when they were in high school, or I was talking with someone the other day that they're holding on to the one or two times they've lost weight is like, well, I'm just going to go back to that. But then we have to have the conversation of, well, it came back then. So maybe we should maybe divorce that diet because it didn't serve you. It doesn't serve you anymore. Or we'll see another demographic we get a fair amount of clients from is, let's say, old athletes. Like whether they were superstar soccer players or bodybuilders or physique competitors, like, well, that chapter of your life is over, and we need to not compare. Like we have to let go of the modalities. I know the only other time we've done fitness is when you were on a stage at 3% body fat with an eating disorder, but that can't be your baseline anymore. We have to let go of that, or let's divorce that, like getting back into relationship analogies. But I think that's a really nice parallel, because I think a lot of people get it in the relationship. But then diet culture, they're like, what? How is it? It's fine.
Yeah, it's really, it's wild what we allow in our lives and what we do accept. I feel like that's when I talk about introspection, like those are the types of conversations we need to be having with ourselves continuously and regularly. Just because this is how I used to do it doesn't mean this is how I have to still do it. Just because this is the original career that I chose doesn't mean I have to continue in this career. Just because this is the person that I, thought I was spending the rest of my life with doesn't mean I have to spend the rest of my life with them. Just because I used to behave in this way doesn't mean I have to continue behaving in this way. Like you get to choose, and you don't, if you need a permission slip, like here it is. You literally, the only people, are people going to judge you? Yes. Are people going to treat you differently? Yes. Are people going to say you've changed? Yes. It's because I have. Like, if you're not changing, you're not growing.
Yeah.
So it's okay. And you get to choose. Like, you get to decide. I just recently said, came to a realization the other day, and I posted about it. But basically, like, how you view your body actually has nothing to do with the way that it looks, but everything to do with the way you choose to see it. If you could really, truly understand that, like let that sink in, you will change your life forever, because so many people are spending countless hours completely exhausted, obsessing over how much they hate themselves, how much they don't like what they see. And instead, they could be choosing to look at what their body is able to do for them, replace it with some gratitude, starting to pretend like they like it even just a little bit, to eventually to the point where they actually do start to, see some changes or notice some changes or even feel some changes. But it really starts with how you talk to yourself. It starts with how you view yourself. And if you believe that there are limits in this world, you will live limitedly. But if you agree that, there any choice that you make in your life, there's you can do it limitlessly, you're going to live a limitless life. And it's really freeing and really freaking awesome if you can do that.
There's that reminds me, there's a talk I give about this kind of concept, especially not just in how your body feels and the other aspects of progress, but if we're willing to discount a little bit of progress or a little win, we'll discount an entire transformation. Someone will discount the entire thing that they think they want. Because I compare the transformation someone wants to like 1,000-page book. Well, everyone wants the transformation. Everyone wants we'll call it the whole book. But 1,000-page book is made up of of just that 1,000 pages. But most people would sit with a book and go, turn the page. And they go, oh, I haven't made any progress. Oh, it's just a page. Well, look how much I still have 997 pages to read. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. But every day is a page turn, or every win is a massive transformation is made up of thousands of micro wins. But if you'll disregard all of those, you'll disregard the entire book. Just because everyone looks at it through what I call the lens of lack. And it's just terrible.
Lens of lack. I like that.
It's like beer goggles, but different.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Not
and
good.
I'm sure I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Along those lines is I think people get into these cycles of emotional addiction. Their baseline emotion is, let's say, lack, or I always want more, or the baseline of it's not good enough. So regardless of whatever result they get, they find a way to go, well, it's not good enough, or they start shooting on themselves. Do you see that a lot?
Oh yeah. All the time. That's a trap.
Yeah.
That is literally a trap. It starts from your mind. Every transformation that you want and you desire starts from your mind. The second that you get that, like going back to what your client said, you're realizing like, I can't believe how easy it is. Like, it's actually that easy. Yes, you still have to put in the work, but when you think about it, when you want to work out versus when you don't want to work out, how much different is that? When your mind, like, it's just a totally different experience. Yeah. And it all starts in your mind. You have to change your phrasing. You have to understand that you get to. You don't have to, you don't want to, you get to. Mm-hmm. And even that coming from that place of gratitude, that in itself, you can feel it when you say it. There's like a shift in your body that happens versus like, I have to, I should. These are things that you can literally feel your body like shrink a little bit. But I almost like my body comes up because it's just a different type of energy. And when you can understand that, your whole world will change.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely. It changes it changes the entire state you're in, right? Like, entirely. Like, it's the difference between anxious and excited. Like they're cousins, but they are very similar, but they're totally different. Yes. Totally different. It goes back to that. Big energy guy, it's a lot. So let me ask you this then. So to get a little super tactical, for those that are listening that have been trapped, they're like, you've literally described my entire life. I've just been living in this. It's never good enough. Diet culture, the whole 9 yards. I don't even know where to start. Where's a good place for someone listening to just even start with this stuff?
Oh, God. That's a good question. Everyone's going to be different, right? So some people might have to spend a little bit more time detaching like this whole concept of, their image and where it came from. They might have to really do a lot of the mental work. I guess everyone, though, should start with their mindset. I think that's always a good place to be. So you want to consistently challenge your mindset. And anytime you're hearing phrases like, I can't, I should, I have to, really try to go change to a place of gratitude and I get to. And instead of focusing on like what you want the outcome to be, really focus on like, what are the habits that I can do every day that produce that outcome? More so like, who do I want to be? And how does that person behave? And if, you're someone, for example, you want to do the morning workouts, you might say, I'm not a morning person. Well, a morning person is workouts in the morning. So anytime you say I'm not a morning person, you say I am a morning person. You just have to challenge a thought. Now, positive affirmations aren't going to do it. You have to put the work in. But the more that you do it and the more that you, instead of saying I'm a morning person or I'm not a morning person or focusing on like, I got to get up tomorrow morning and work out. No, the goal is I love starting my day with productivity, or I love the way that I feel when I work out. I also hate obsessing over when I'm going to work out and it's all I can think about. And then I feel like I hate when I get to the end of the day and it's something that I said I was going to do and I don't do it. So you know what? I'm going to decrease all of those chances as much as I possibly can and just get it over, done, check, like eat that frog, right? I don't know if you ever read that book, personal development book, definitely recommend. Do the thing that you don't want to do the first in the beginning of the day. And the more you focus on how you want to feel and who you want to be, now the actions that are required start to take shape, and there's less resistance there. Will you have a little bit resistance? Sure. But it'll be less. And then the more you do it, now you build momentum, and momentum is what's going to keep you motivated. A lot of people, and I'm sure you've probably talked about this before, Jared, like a lot of people wait for motivation, but motivation comes and goes. And if you consistently depend on motivation, you're going to be consistently inconsistent. You
Yep.
cannot wait
I
to
love
be
that.
motivated. That just came to me, by the way. I've never said that
Let's
before.
go.
Totally gonna tweet that. Yeah, writing that down. I might have to have you go back and tell me what I said exactly.
I got you. That's
no, but that was good. But anyways, so the point is like momentum is what's going to breed success. So you really want to make sure that you're focused on kind of the little things, and really start to look at your habits. Habits are everything. We are what we repeatedly do. One habit at a time. I like to say at Tips with Toni, helping you get healthy, one bite at a time. But it really is that. So really be honest with yourself about, we can talk about so many things, and I can go into so many things right now, and I don't want to get too distracted. But one of the things that we do really specialize at Tips with Toni is helping people overcome emotional eating or binge eating. And a lot of times there's two factors. We have obviously our physical factors, which most people are usually physically hungry, meaning they're under eating, not getting enough nutrients. There's a lot of imbalance, right? But then we have our psychological factors, things like, pouring out of an empty cup, not taking care of their emotional needs or their mental well-being, feeling like psychologically like deprived, so maybe nutrition wise, they're getting all the things, but they haven't allowed themselves to have something like pizza or a burger or French fries in like 2 months or whatever it is. So like psychologically, there's just no connection. There's nothing satisfied there. And I say that to say, because often those people, they will overlap and enter what's called the danger zone, where it can be really difficult to know like what's the best plan of action. But I think for the people listening today, I think it's important to be really honest with yourself. Like, do I need to focus on physically filling my body up, or do I need to focus on psychologically filling my body up? 9 times out of 10 is probably going to be both. So I often tell people start with the physical, because you'll actually start to notice that it changes your mentality. So for example, if you're trying to go all day without eating and then stressing and frustrated with yourself that you're binging at night, focus on eating at least like 3 balanced meals a day, and incorporate a protein, a carbohydrate, a fat, a fruit or veggie at most meals. If that's too overwhelming to you, just do it for one of them. But the point is if you can start to focus on physically feeling better, so eating enough, eating balanced enough, adding in rather than taking away, adding in water, adding more sleep, managing your stress, so adding in yoga or writing in your journal or something like that, and you focus on those things, you'll start to notice that your mood, your energy, psychologically, you have more brain space, like things just start to get better. And then eventually now you're going to know what the next step is. So going back to your original question of like, where do you begin? Well, you begin with your mindset, but then you also have to understand that every choice that you make has an effect, which has an effect, which has a reaction, which has a reaction. So really think about like, what is the thing that really affects everything? So that nighttime eating, often it's because a lot of people are not eating enough during the day, or they're never taking a break or whatever it is. Really focus on that. And then you'll start to be able to tackle maybe like the weekends, or maybe your workouts, or maybe, whatever the other things are that are kind of getting in your way. But if you try to do it overnight, like you're going to burn out, and you're going to struggle with consistency for sure.
No, without a doubt. I think that's the biggest thing is people need to, like, whatever they're going to do, because there's a million ways to win. But I think people try to get in the weeds or in the bushes, or whatever that old saying is, where they're just doing all the things, and then they just get like, they freeze. Right.
Yeah.
There's a talk. I was at an event one time with Jesse Itzler. He's this crazy psycho.
Oh, yeah.
Love
he's
Jesse.
Crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy.
An extremist.
Yeah.
He's like he makes the extreme work. I'm not,
No, here's what's funny. No, this was the best advice I've ever heard, and I couldn't believe it came out of his mouth. He said everyone, and mind you, this was in a room of nothing but high achievers. This was nothing but like crazy psychos. And he said, I'm the biggest fan of a habit of the month. Just one habit a month. Right. You'd never guess Jesse to say that. And he goes, raise your hand if you've added 12 habits to your year. Not a single hand got raised. He goes, interesting. What
Mm.
about 6 habits? Who can say there's 6 habits they've added this year? No hands went up. He goes, 3? 3 habits? You got like 4 people raise their hands. He goes, this is the problem. You guys try to do all of these habits and all these things to grow your business or work on your family or get your fitness or whatever the thing is. He goes, but you burn out. You don't last long enough. He goes, I add 12 new habits every year to my life. You think my life is going to change adding 12 rock solid habits? I just do a habit of the month. This month, his are weird. It's like, learn to play guitar. I want to learn how to play guitar. So that's my habit is I do 15 minutes of guitar every day. Next month, I want to learn Spanish. Starts practicing Spanish every day. Next month, I got to work on my fitness. I'm going to start drinking more water. But could you imagine if someone signed up for like a coaching program and month 1, water. That's it. They would say, month 2, track your calories. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Month 3, protein. Right? It would never work out.
No, but I do believe it could work technically. I think that's the positive of working with a coach is you can implement faster, right? But if you're, you don't want to work with a coach or you're not, just for whatever reason, you're just choosing not to, maybe try that.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that came out of Jesse's mouth with the crazy like, psychopath side of him, but it was great. I love Jesse, but a lot of times when someone's, because like, I'm curious your thoughts on this. When someone comes to you and says, well, doing it your way is too slow. I got vacation coming up, or I've been trying to lose weight for so many years. I'm trying to get it done now. What are your thoughts whenever you're saying, take it slow, 1 habit at a time, stop trying to rush it. And they're like, I have got to get this weight off fast. That's the problem. What's your thoughts to that?
Yeah, that's the problem. That's why you have that problem. I usually tell them the slow way is actually the fast way.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah.
Because even if it took you a year, at least in a year, you're further along than the past 40 years of staying in the same place. And, each year having another 10 pounds to lose or, still struggling, or now you have type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure, blah, blah, blah. Like, these are things that could have been prevented with the proper interventions. But unfortunately, the problem only got worse or just didn't get better. So you're either progressing or regressing. There's really no in between.
I do think it's interesting. Like if you look, like zoom out and look at the numbers and stuff, the people who try to lose weight the fastest struggle the longest.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Where, when that's at least where the route I go when someone's like, well, it has to be faster. I'm like, maybe that's the problem, Karen. You know what I mean? So, so from your perspective, like as a whole, why do you think so many people fail? Like, why do you think so many people struggle and don't get like I know the statistics are what they are, but why do so many people fail? Like from your perspective, if you could like fix 1 or 2 areas that everyone would be fixed with, like, why do you think they fail?
2 reasons. Mindset. So, unfortunately, our whole lives being told we're not enough and we need to consistently be changing. And then the, fat change. So it's almost like how the business owners can get stuck chasing the algorithm. Like I am all for figuring out what works and what doesn't, but like, I'm not about to change my entire marketing strategy just because the algorithm consistently decides to change. It's annoying. Yeah. At the end of the day, I know who I am. I know what I provide. I know what I deliver, and I'm going to say what's on my heart, and I'm going to say it in the way that I want to say it. I don't care if that means that I have to put it in a reel or whatever. At the end of the day, I'm doing what I need to do for me because that's what works for me. And that's the most important thing. So I think the mindset is really important, and truly understanding that the more you love your decisions, the less you need other people to love them, and to really just go all in on figuring out, what it is that you need to do to be successful. That's key. And then I guess tying into that, it's very similar, which is the other reason why people, there's a lot of failure there is because they're trying to follow things that aren't designed for them. And they're not factoring in like their lifestyle, and they're focused on the external things, or they're looking outside themselves, or they're trying to follow like, what their friend at work is doing, and they're easily influenced by others. So I think it really does go back down to like, the more you love your decisions, the less you need others to love them, because that is something I say to all of our clients, because at the end, all we want them to do is be super confident and not influenced by the world around them, by the people around them. They might still get triggered, because we all do, especially family. They have a way of like turning the knife, but that doesn't mean that you need to respond to it going back to those extremes. So I think the faster you get to a place where you are understanding that your way is not going to look like anybody else's way, you will actually get closer to succeeding rather than failing.
Mm-hmm. You know, what's interesting is I always think that it's interesting that people have these hangups like this in weight loss, but every other area in our life, it's the polar opposite, right? People like you go to a person that's a mom that she's like, I don't care what that mom says, this is how I'm raising my kids to not be degenerates, right? Or if you're moving into a house and someone's like, well, that's a pretty big house. It's like, yeah, because I want a big house, or, oh, I don't want a big house, or whatever it is. It's almost like you'll see people who struggle with those decisions here in weight loss. Like they're great everywhere else. Or like the boyfriend that no one's likes. It's like, nope, I like him. I love him. He's good to me. So fuck you. You know what I mean? There's almost like this chip on the shoulder about it. But when it's weight loss, it's like, it's different. You know, yeah. I thought that was fascinating. There's something I talk about in my content a lot is we do everything right in all the other areas except for here. Like no one says I'm an all or nothing person with brushing their teeth. They do it in weight loss. No one says like, I'm gonna wait to start over Monday, like something like brushing your teeth, or I'm a perfectionist. I'm all in, all out. But no one's like, if they drop an egg out of a carton, they're like, oh, I gotta smash the whole dozen. You know what I mean? Like we don't do that anywhere else. If you're late for work because of construction, you're not quitting the job. Versus if you're like, oh, I can't get my whole hour-long workout and I can only get 55 minutes. Fuck it, I'm not gonna go. Like it's only in weight loss we get weird about shit. You know what I mean? Just like what you were saying when with the decision making, you know, I just think it's fascinating.
It really is.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, we can, the patriarchy, I'm sorry, but like, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. Control. That's what I'm going to say. Control.
In what context?
Everybody, like food is the one very few things in life that we actually have control over, what we eat, what we don't eat. And it also like culturally it defines us, right? There's so many things that it's tied to. And so I think that yes, to your point, there's all these other things that for whatever reason, it's like, this is how I'm doing it and I don't care. But I think when you tie appearance and when you tie the fact that like life really is crazy unpredictable and this is the one thing in life we can control, sometimes it gets thrown out of context. And I feel like that's probably it. I'm sure there's more to it after I like meditate on this for a little bit, but that is what I would probably say.
Yeah. Interesting. I just think it's crazy. Just that this is why I think the psychology piece, it has to be hammered on. And I feel like no one does, or very few people do. It's just like, no, just eat less, move more. It's fine. Work harder, do better, go on a walk. Like, it's like, okay, that's cool. But we have all this like 95% of the other bullshit over here we've got to address, you know?
Yeah. Knowing what to do is like 10% of it. Because here's the thing, like, first of all, I could argue, a lot of people are like, I know what to do. I bet you don't actually. Yeah. Because what you were told to do is complete bullshit and actually does not apply to your lifestyle at all. But even after, let's say after working with someone for like a month, we've identified all of these things that we've had to unlearn and relearn and educate them on like what is appropriate and what is helpful and what it actually means for them. And, you know, we gave them all the information. They still need time for implementation. Like, and because habits take time to break and take time to make, like, there's the knowledge and the application. That's where you're going to see the change. A whole lot of knowledge is really not helpful at all. Actually, and used in the wrong context could actually be very harmful. So it's really important that that's worked through and that people understand. Like, I actually also too, like when it comes to growth, I know there's like tons of quotes about it and I can't think of one off the top of my head, but basically like, if you think you know it all, like you're done. You're dead. You're not growing. You're probably going to regress in a lot of ways. Even I can speak to this as a business owner. I noticed myself at one stage in my life, I kind of felt like I figured it all out. And like, I didn't need this. I didn't know that. And that was really, really harmful for me in my business because I started to notice like my energy shifted. I started to notice like things really were kind of like, they felt like they were kind of like falling apart a little bit. And I noticed that what I realized is like maybe that the mastermind I was in or the person I was working with wasn't a good fit for me anymore. But that doesn't mean that I had to stop there. It just means I was ready for the next thing and I needed to keep growing. But to just to shut yourself off to the world or to shut yourself off for, advice and growth and expansion, you're going to do yourself a disservice.
Well, I think the other piece with that too, because I agree with you, is when someone does what I call it the knowing doing gap, like it's a thing, right? Knowing is like, yeah, we all can surf the internet and get the information, do the knowing, but doing is all caught up in our psychology. It's all caught up in we're on autopilot 90% of the day. So of course, this is where I see more knowledge actually makes them freeze more, like the fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. More people freeze because then they're getting more information. It's like everyone's lifetime content, what word am I looking for? Viewers, right? Everyone's searching, looking like, well, this diet, this way, Jared's way, Tony's way, Bob's way, Karen's way, Jordan's way. And it's like, I don't even know what to do. And it enables lack of action. Whereas like, maybe you should just pick one of those ways and just run with it and see what you learn,
Yeah.
But I think that's the big thing is the doing is caught up in our psychology. And that's where everyone's issues are at.
And the practicality, sometimes you need an outside perspective. First of all, like you said, we're all on autopilot. You need someone to say hey, how about for 30 minutes a week, you meet with somebody else to kind of talk through what's going on instead of staying stuck in this cycle that nothing's ever changing. Sometimes it's super, going back to your client of how simple it is. Sometimes it's how about we take that chicken out of the freezer so you have something to eat tomorrow.
Right.
It's so simple, but that chicken out of the freezer literally was a saving of binging the cabinets and, saying screw it and then starting over quote unquote on Monday, blah, blah, blah. That was a big shift. So sometimes you just need somebody else to give you a little bit of another thought or perspective or shift. And it forces you to kind of slow down and look at things differently. And that is a game changer. And that is usually what people need is they need someone to be in the middle and help them get out of their own way.
Yeah. Hey, you're doing it again. Stop it. You're at that. Don't stop. You're doing it again. Yeah. That's the joke, but it's what happens when people talk about coaching and stuff. So you need someone to just go, stop. You're doing it again. You're drifting. Don't you dare. Oh, you said it again. Nope, go back, or whatever. So
yeah.
Final question. So what are you working on and excited about right now? This could be personal, business, life, whatever. Toni wise, what are you working on and excited about?
So what I am working on is I have never hosted an in-person event before. So what I'm currently working on right now is I'm piloting a small event. I don't know when this is coming out. It's actually going to be at my home. It's a body image healing workshop, and it's going to be super intimate, only 10 women, where we're going to be doing a whole bunch of different exercises around mind, body, and spirit, and really just helping them to have that transformation almost elevated and quick as possible because we're going to be together in a room. So that, though, stemmed from my bigger dream and my bigger vision, which is hosting retreats and being able. So I kind of want to see how this goes, but then eventually I would love to be able to have a little bit more women and kind of probably do it at a really cool resort or something, and go a little deeper with it. So that is what I'm working on. And really the vision is to bring women together to help them to understand that they're not alone, and to really get them to feel more comfortable in their bodies as fast as possible. So we have a 6-month program that we work with clients with that definitely gets them there, and it's wonderful. However, I wanted something that I thought would kind of expedite the process and then also quickly provide that level of support, because a lot of women, we do one-on-one coaching and then we have group support in addition, but it's all virtual. And a lot of the women have said, I feel better when I'm here, but this is once a week. I need something, I want something that's going to be more intimate and blah, blah, blah. So that's where it came from. And that's what I'm excited about.
That's sick. That'll be super cool. You should totally bring in a videographer and do some content around that too. That'd be dope as fuck.
Yeah. That's the plan.
I love that. Where can people find you? If they like this and they're like, oh, I'm digging it, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm most active on Instagram at tips_with_Toni with an I. My book is on Amazon. It's called Once Upon a Diet. And if they want any more information about services, they can go to tipswithtoni.com.
Sick. Awesome. Well, Toni, this has been great. I had a blast on your show, and then this was a blast. And so I'm glad we did this. This has been cool. So
yes, me too. Thanks so much for having me.
And we are back. Thank you so much for sticking around for the entire episode of the podcast. I know if you made it this far, you got a lot of nuggets from my conversation with Toni. A few things before you go. Number one, be sure to connect with Toni. Be sure to reach out to her. Be like, yo, I saw you on the podcast. That was great. Be sure and go pick up her book. I will leave the link below. That way you can go pick up her book off Amazon. And then be sure before you leave, I do have a few other things for you. Number one, don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave me a review. It would mean a ton to me. We pour so much time and effort and energy and money and resources into this show to make it as good as possible. And my one ask is for you to just support the show with leaving a review and subscribing. That way, whenever the next episode goes live, but also if you could share this with a friend. If you got a lot out of this episode, if you listen to this whole thing, screenshot it, throw it on your story and tag me in it and tell me what you thought. This way we can get the word to more people. Because of course I'm going to say dope stuff about my show, but the more you say positive things about my show, people go, oh, wow, that may be legit. I'm just like her, or whatever the case is. So it means a ton. Excuse me. So yeah, be sure and do that. Otherwise, before you leave, I have a few other things for you. Number one is if you are just getting started on your journey, you're not quite sure where to go or what to do. I actually have a free fat loss course. It's called the Fat Loss Checklist. I'll leave it in the description. That way it's just going to give you the A to Z's of fat loss, how to lose weight sustainably and keep it off and never struggle again. It's a fully self-guided course and it's my gift to you. Okay. Next, if you don't have a home base, if you're kind of like lonely on this journey, like your husband doesn't get it, your kids don't care, your friends are like crabs in a bucket, so they make fun of you whenever you start to lose weight, whatever. If you don't have a spot to go to get loved on, to get support, to get help, to get your questions answered, you need that. And 9 times out of 10, if you put yourself in the right environment, your problems go away, just like it does with kids. So I have that. I have a free Facebook group called Fat Loss Simplified. I run it. I lead it. I'm posting content in there every week, damn near every day, live trainings, Q&As, all the free guides, free resources, more coursework, all sorts of stuff. You will not find another better group on the internet, even paid groups. And my group is completely for free because I think everyone needs a home base to be successful. So if you're not part of it, be sure and join us there. And then finally, if you're sick of doing this on your own and you're like, man, I'm tired of the bandwidth game of like, I've been trying to lose weight for the last 5 to 10 years. Nothing's ever working. My way evidently doesn't work. All these kind of things, and you're ready for some help and you're ready for someone to just tell you what to do and give you the proven blueprint and the roadmap, apply for coaching. I have a special thing for my podcast listeners who want to apply for coaching. I leave a link in the description that takes you to the front of the line because we only take on a certain amount of people per month. So if you applied for coaching from the podcast, you go straight to the front of the line and cut everyone else. And I have some extra things to give you if you do get accepted into coaching. Because at the end of the day too, there's no place on the internet you can go to and just sign up for coaching. Because I have to make sure this is a good fit. We only work with people who we know we can 180 their lives. That's why the program is called 180 Impact, is because if we do not think we can 180 your entire life, like a full about face, we're going to politely not accept you into coaching because that would be just unethical. And I would rather point you to someone who actually I think can serve you better. So before we ever do anything, we always have to make sure this is the right fit. And then we can go from there. But be sure, and if that's kind of up your alley and you want to see what that's about and get some information on it and apply, just go to the link below and apply for coaching. Like I said, I have a special place in my heart for my podcast listeners, so I like to incentivize that a little bit. But otherwise, I appreciate the fuck out of you. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you for next week's episode. I'll talk to you soon.